Hi folks, welcome to a new Cancha tutorial about trimming when you're doing the imports. Quite often you might have a bunch of drill holes, met samples or block model data that you really don't want to import because it's never going to be part of the analysis. It's just extra data that happens to be in the file. Better not to import it, and for that reason we've got this trimming feature in Cancha. So this is just an empty file right now. I'm going to go ahead and import a block model. I'll do it without any trim in the first place. So it's a block model. You can see easting, northern RL is correct, density is all good. Got the usual categorical information and then a whole bunch of numerical information. So we'll just go ahead and import that. And it's a small file, so it loaded quickly. It's only 26,000 blocks, but we can see that it's this sort of size. And if we look at, for example, the lithologies, we can see that we've got this big one in the middle is 90, this brown on the outside is 95. So this is lithologies we've got there. Net smelter return, we can see we've got values from $6 a ton all the way up to $96 a ton. So $6 a ton would be pretty marginal. Maybe we want to trim some of that. You can see the block model's already been trimmed, but for the sake of this exercise, we'll trim it again. So you can see we've got 26,000 blocks, and let's go ahead and trim that down. So clicking on here in data, get rid of that, import it again. So this time when we're doing the import process, there's this column here, trim. Yeah. So this second column of checkboxes, you can choose as many things as you want to trim, but they're additional trims. So it's not one or the other, it's both. So if I trim in zone and I trim, or we're going to do lithology, wasn't it? So lithology and NSR, it'll only the blocks that comply with both of these are going to be imported. So the first thing I do is hit next, and then what it's going to do is load up all the data into memory, and it's going to tell you what possible values you could import. We want to get rid of that 95 for whatever reason for lithology, and we want to increase the NSR to say $30 a ton. So we're going to have both a categorical and a numerical trim when we bring it in. And so now we'll notice here that it went down from 27,000 rows in blocks, 27,000 blocks. Now it's down to less than 3,000. If we look at that in 3D, you can see the block model's greatly reduced. If we go ahead and load up NSR, we can see that the NSR's lowest limits now is $30 a ton. And we load up lithology, we can see we no longer have 95. It's completely gone. Okay, so yeah, quite often block model files might be like 6 to 10 gigabytes, and there might only be a couple of hundred megabytes of useful data, so definitely trim those. Drilling files might have stuff from way outside, there might be a whole another deposit in the database, so you might want to trim it for that reason. You might want to trim metallurgical data for only valid test results based on a valid column, Boolean or something like that. Lots of reasons to trim stuff, but if you do it, you're going to make Cancha run faster, less memory, smaller file sizes, more focus and less filters. And filters, let's face it, they're useful, but they're a little slow on the workflow. So if you can avoid filters by trimming the stuff before you bring it in, all the better. That's trimming.